Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
Well, my goodness, now that some of these playoffs are over, we haven't had the Super Bowl yet, but we also have a World Cup that's going to be happening fairly soon. And I think about all these situations where there's literally hundreds of thousands of people gathered all over the world and everything. And how is it that various places and states and organizations can keep their people safe? There's a lot going on in terms of technology and how that happens these days. And we have someone here to talk all about it. Jim Wolfinbarger. He is a retired 7th Chief of the Colorado State Patrol, where he's spearheaded everything in terms of preparedness and large scale situations. But now he is currently the Vice President of Real-Time Intelligence at Motorola Solutions, which is going to be very interesting to hear about what these solutions are in terms of drones and all sorts of other technology. Thank you so much for joining us, Jim, today.
Laura, much appreciated. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I always wonder, right now, especially more than ever in the world, you just feel like, if I go to a huge concert, if I go to a FIFA, a World Cup game, am I going to be safe there? And what kind of technology is used besides police presence and stuff? There's got to be other things that are going on. If you could let us know what's happening in the world of safety and preparedness, I would love to hear it.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and you're right? So whether you're at a soccer match or you're at a football game, as you talked, as the playoffs kind of come to an end here this coming weekend, we get ready for the Super Bowl. These are large scale events, all of them, and they're not new to state and local government, but really any jurisdiction, almost irrespective of size, has special events all the time. Whether it's a county fair, could be a Saturday night football game. There's a number of events that happen, again, regardless of jurisdictional size. But certainly when you think kind of around those mega events, these pre-planned events, oftentimes within that, every aspect of this comes up with traditional partnership where agencies sit down together, they conduct, large scale tabletop exercises, they develop an operational plan. They usually can use one from past events, and, it works really well. And, a lot of that is rooted in traditional technology like radio communications, many of which, fortunately, are through Motorola. Motorola Solutions is a national leader in the space of 911 call handling. So, making sure all your systems are in place and that the plans are drawn up and that you've got effective means by which to share either video or floor plans with, enterprise and industry, whether it's retail or it might be mass transportation. Those are all elements of traditional, operational planning. But this 21st century, and particularly this last 10 years, even frankly 5, have really changed the way that a lot of agencies need to continue to think and expand the horizon around capabilities connected to emerging threats and trends.
Yes. And so, for example, like drones, I see drones sometimes and I'm going, is that a good drone or a bad drone? Is that something that's protecting me, or is that something that's spying on me and has more nefarious intent? Like, as just a regular layperson, I wouldn't know the difference.
It's such a salient point that a lot of us have thought. Now, I tell you, me personally, I love drones, and I think a lot of your audience probably is in the same boat. Probably yourself. They're fun. They've become extremely affordable. They're, played around with them with my kids. And so recreationally, there's a tremendous amount of use, and certainly commercially, we see a lot of very legitimate applications of drones in a commercial space. Like maybe they're, inspecting bridges for cracks or superstructures like cranes, maybe real estate that really lend value. But, especially in the area where maybe temporary airspace restrictions have been placed, and that might be around maybe a stadium when an event is going on, or it could be over a golf course during certain large events. Those would be established by the FAA and become restricted airspaces. Now, there's always places that are going to be permanent airspace restrictions. Think airports, think prisons, think, other critical infrastructure like water treatment and water sanitation. I mean, there's a lot of areas that do have permanent airspace control. And in order, as we've seen this incredible proliferation of drone technology, comes a lot more flights. And with that, people who unknowingly, generally, I believe, but in the few cases where people intentionally penetrate restricted airspace, you need to have that technology foundation not only to detect, but to understand where that operator is operating that aircraft from.
Right. And apparently, according to the information, there's more than 2,000 unauthorized drone flights over stadiums at any given time. So again, I'm assuming that Motorola has figured out some way to detect this and also to keep people safe. You're working with SkySafe. Tell us about SkySafe.
Would love to. Now, there's two aspects of drones. First being this around airspace intelligence or airspace security. We've identified a partner, and we've really come into this great relationship where we see the fullness of Motorola Solutions ecosystem that meets with the innovation of this technology company out of San Diego, California called SkySafe that provides the capability for agencies to be able to monitor extremely accurately not only what's in the sky, where they're at, but where that operator is in space. That becomes incredibly important because of what I mentioned earlier, the ability then for first responders at a state and local level to go identify that operator if they're operating in a unauthorized in a restricted airspace. Tremendous technology. The other side to that drone capability is drone as a first responder. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but I'd love to talk to you about it.
I'm not. At all.
So some of your audience may have heard, and if not, you will hear of drone as a first responder. You might hear it as DFR. And with that, what it means is that public safety agencies, state and local, maybe county sheriff, municipal PD, they can use drones as a first response mechanism from a 911 call. Say they get a report of a train derailment or a major crash on an interstate through a city. Maybe it's a armed robbery that's just in the process of occurring. They can send these drones out over the top of that from a charging pod, maybe several of them around the city, get there within seconds, beating first responders, putting eyes on the scene, and sending that video intelligence back into the 911 center and command center to allow them to put eyes on the scene and inform first responders so that when they hit the ground, they have much superior intelligence to make better, more informed decisions that generate superior outcomes. It's a very important aspect. Now, there's a second aspect to DFR that I find fascinating, and it's this area around leveraging a DFR. Now, what we have done at Motorola is we developed a partnership with a company named Brink, BRINC. They're based out of Seattle, Washington. It's an American company with American-built drones. And not only can they deploy and put the eyes on the scene, but what they can do too, through one of their drones that's called the Responder, they can fly out to, say, an individual who has become maybe swam out too far and can't get back to shore. They're in trouble. People on the shore can tell they're in trouble. They're splashing around. They can send a drone over that individual and drop an inflatable life preserver to allow them to stay afloat while rescue personnel meet them. I love that. Mm-hmm. Other examples might be somebody in anaphylactic shock, maybe that needs an EpiPen. You might have walked across somebody that is in a drug overdose, and maybe, it might be Narcan that may be delivered to them. And then finally, as a last example, say you're out on a hike in a remote area. You've got cell phone coverage, or maybe you use satellite phone to send your location to 911, and they can send out maybe even something like an electronic defibrillator for a friend or a partner that has experienced cardiac arrest and save a life, leveraging these great tools. I find that incredibly exciting.
Oh my gosh, it's gives me chills. It's just absolutely incredible. And what I'm hearing here is that it takes about 70 seconds. The average time, like you said, but for a drone to respond to the scene of a 911 call, that's a game changer. That is a huge game changer. And so many lives, I would imagine, are going to be saved as a result of this. It's good news. For once, some good news.
Yeah.
So yes, even though there's all these wrong drones that are in the sky. This has the potential, I think, to change the world in such a positive way. So, Jim, where can we get some more information on all of this so that the world can really start to respond and also get involved?
Well, thanks, Laura. Anybody's welcome to visit MotorolaSolutions.com to avail yourself of all this great technology, whether a private enterprise or government. And if you're interested really in this large event types of solutions that we've been talking about, go ahead and feel free to search within the website. Large Event Security can help them find more detailed information about what we could bring to bear to assist agencies and businesses across the country.
Well, he's the Vice President of Real-Time Intelligence at Motorola Solutions. Jim Wolfinbarger, thank you so very much for all you are doing. It's truly humbling. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Well, this is a topic that has basically taken over the entire planet, but one that people like me who may be in the later years, I should say, not really, but, kind of, not as young as a lot of my cohorts and such, that is trying to open my mind to embrace the reality that AI is here, it's here to stay, and it's going to change the world. But we can only hope that it is for the better. And I have someone coming on today. I've been so excited about this because I just think it's a fascinating topic. Brianne Shaw, she's a director at a company called Gloo, and that is spelled Gloo, where she plays a key role in advancing the company's works and on values-aligned AI. So in other words, this is a company that is focused on AI, is devoted to it, and helping people and ministries and church organizations, nonprofits, companies that have high values and want to use AI and see it going towards good in the world. I want to know how we can do that and how we can get on board. Brianne, thank you so much for joining us today on The Way Home.
Hi, Laura. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about all the great things happening in AI.
Yeah, seriously, because, we're mostly focused on what we hear that is really quite alarming, a little bit scary or a lot scary about some of the things that AI can do for us, but hopefully not take over and then become a bigger force than we know how to deal with. So as a value-based company, you're talking about using AI for even things such as faith, churches, nonprofits. Tell us how you see AI, please, right now in the world, and also how we can implement it in our lives so that it's a force for good and positivity.
Yeah, those are great questions. At Gloo, we're the leading technology platform for the faith and flourishing ecosystem. And we've really been on a mission to shape technology for good. Technology at its core is net neutral. And we really have been it felt like there's a mandate that we need to be a part of shaping this technology. And we've done that in various ways. In the most recent, kind of some of this new research that came out in partnership with Barna, is looking at AI usage and how AI is being used. And then from there, developing a set of standards and benchmarks on how do we measure, is AI supporting human flourishing and human well-being? And then even from there, how do we resource and connect people to the right information so they can have responsible usage of AI? They can steward this technology wisely.
Is there already some type of benchmark process in place, say in policy, in our government, or throughout the world that already has standards in place that you are carrying on, or are you kind of creating this new set of standards?
We are creating it. There are a few kind of emerging efforts in other places, but Gloo is definitely leading the cause when it comes to standards and benchmarks. We just released, it's called the Flourishing AI Benchmark. So FAI is what we call it. And essentially it measures all the large language models against the 7 dimensions of human flourishing. So things like happiness, meaning, faith, relationships, finance. And what we did was we asked a series of questions against each of these dimensions. And then it grades it. How well does it do? Does it get an A, a B, a C, D, all the way down to an F? And overall, nearly all the large language models scored between a C and a D. In areas of meaning and faith, they scored a D and an F. So that, what that means on a practical day-to-day basis, if you're interacting with an AI tool such as a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude or any of these, and you ask it questions about meaning and faith, more than likely you will get an answer that is not true. And so these are things that we really, really, we hypothesized, then we built the standards and benchmarks in partnership with other organizations. And then we have now, are building, are partnering and wrapping these models. I call it parenting. We're parenting these models with ethics and standards and benchmarks. So now that now when you go and run these against a Glue AI model, they scored like an A or a B. They're not C, Ds, and Fs. And so we do know that we can influence and shape this technology, and we want people using this. We want people deploying it as they build things and as they interact with things.
It is remarkable, truly. And, already, it feels like AI is just something that's come into the purview and the parlance in the last, year or two for a lot of people. And yet there's already massive lawsuits and where AI has seemed to really cross a line in terms of safety and morality for children. So it seems like a daunting task with this already. It's like it's already in play. And how does Glue feel that it's going to be able to make inroads in some of these already ubiquitous companies like ChatGPT, like Claude, like the other ones? As we shape technology for good, we know it's a collaborative effort. We know that it's going to take all of us. It's not one company doing this. It's not one person doing this. And there are going to have to be policies and commitments and things made. And, but along the way, it's really partnership. Hey, how do we partner with these bigger organizations? And the great thing about Glue is that you can use all of these other models, wrapped with our safeguards and benchmarks. And so, it isn't one versus the other. It's wrapping and ethicizing. That's not a word. Putting ethics and values around these to be able to use them. And then on the consumer level, to be able to have wisdom when it comes to, okay, when I interface with a chat experience or and anything that is AI, what am I interfacing with? Are we teaching our kids not everything that comes out of AI is true, and I need to fact check and source check? And are we teaching in schools that, AI is a tool and it needs to be stewarded and there needs to be wisdom behind it? Yes, and I think that's so necessary. Oh, I'm so grateful. I feel like you guys are actually doing God's work, and I couldn't be more comforted by the whole thing. How can people find Glue? How can people get their questions answered and maybe even incorporate Glue into whatever their structure is, whether it's a company, a church, their faith-based mission, or their nonprofit?
Yeah, we have plenty of solutions. We'd love for you to check them out. Glue.com, gloo.com. There's plenty of ways to get involved. You can get connected there as well. We'd love to serve, whether it's through our marketing, IT consulting, or, even all the way down to our AI services. So plenty of ways to get involved.
Brianne Shaw, director at Glue. Thank you. You've given me a lot of hope today. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Well, I have a dog. Actually, we have two dogs. And of course, we have our mail delivered every day. Thankfully, my mailbox is outside, and that's where the mail goes. But for a lot of people, there are different scenarios whereby their dogs either get loose or the postal worker goes up to the house and there's a dog nearby. Lots of things can happen, and it's not always that dogs are man's best friend. In the case of the United States Postal Service, not a laughing matter. I'm not laughing at that, but just the mere thought of what these wonderful workers have to go through sometimes with dogs, and being attacked by them is nothing short of a bit scary. Today, I have Elizabeth Adams. She is the United States Postal Service Occupational Safety and Health Safety Awareness Specialist. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Laura.
I feel so terrible when I read the statistics. How many dog bites in 2024? Is it beyond 6,000?
It is. It's over 6,000, 6,088 we had in 2024. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, first of all, I can't imagine having the kind of courage to go out every single day, 6 days a week, and be wondering, well, am I going to get bit by a dog today? How has this, I'm surprised that in this day and age, there's not, this has not all been taken care of, but I guess it's impossible to do. What is it still a big problem? Has it gotten any better over the past decades or no?
Unfortunately, it has not. And that total from 2024 averages out to about 16 per day. And we have seen it increase over the past 3 years. So that's why we are really looking forward to our customers and our collaborative effort to minimize that risk, because it is a real problem. It's a real and ongoing safety issue for our mail carriers out there.
Is it mostly people who just may have dogs and just don't have them secured in their home or whatever, let them walk outside, and then when by chance somebody comes by the property that they're already loose? I mean, I would imagine that there are laws around this that would prevent people from being so lackadaisical. So why aren't more people taking care of this problem?
I think it could be twofold as well, because we know that last year, we added over 1 million delivery points. And so the population's increasing. We're delivering more and to more people, and dog ownership is also increasing. So that exposure is just increasing year after year. And so that's potentially also contributing to the problem. But the theme this year is secure your dog, keep deliveries on track. And the main concern is just secure your dog. Make sure your dog is away from where the carrier is delivering mail. Like in your case, at the end of the drive, or wherever, or right at the door. Sometimes we will come and have the package right at the door as well.
See, that's the thing, because my postal worker is in a truck. And he drives by the standing mailboxes and doesn't get out of the truck, just puts them there. But I guess it's not the same. In some communities, postal workers are getting out of their trucks and walking to particular houses. Is that how it is?
Yes, and that's actually how it is in my neighborhood as well. My postal worker parks and then walks through the neighborhood, delivering from door to door. Okay,
so in addition to obviously securing the dog so that, at that particular time of the day, what are some other steps we can take as dog owners to make your postal workers safer?
Definitely. So that another best way is to recognize and promote that responsible pet ownership. At the end of the day, teach your dog appropriate behaviors, those commands, socialize your dog. And you mentioned, don't allow your dog to roam freely. Make sure your dog is secure. If the carrier does come to your door, that security can be in a separate room, in a secure area even, because there could be that false sense of security if you have your screen door shut. So we've seen some dogs push through screen doors. We've actually even seen them jump through windows. So make sure that your door is secured when you're coming in and out, or if you have family visiting or children, make sure that door is shut.
So is it true that there is some new technology that is trying to help mitigate the dog bites in the postal worker? What is that technology?
So for sure. So we have actually customer technology and our carrier technology. So I'll talk about the carrier technology first. We have our mobile delivery devices that you may see a carrier with a handheld scanner. That actually provides that customer delivery confirmation, but it also has a feature to indicate the presence of a dog at an address. So as our carrier is approaching the property, it also alerts them that there is a dog there. And we also, for the customer piece, we have USPS informed delivery. And that is a service that alerts customers to mail and packages, coming to their homes. So that gives time to allow to plan for the carrier's arrival so that they can secure their dog.
Oh, that's really good news. I'm sure that's going to be helpful for sure. And just obviously, making people aware of that. I'm so glad that you're able to tell us about that, because I wouldn't have known. So people are able to maybe think faster. But for some of the places where they're not, is the U.S. Postal Service, are they taking other measures to help protect their own workers?
So we do provide the training. We have carrier training that we provide on steps that they can follow, and really give them ways to just always try to prevent the situation from escalating. So we have, in our employee training, one tip is if a dog is about to attack, try placing something between them and the dog, such as their mail satchel. And we do use the dog repellent if necessary.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, that's good to know as well, that they have some protection measures. I'm grateful to hear about this. What is a good website people can go to? They want to hear the latest of what's going on in the area of dog bites and postal workers. Do you have an information site?
We do. It's USPS.com/dog bite awareness.
Well, that's easy enough. USPS.com/dog bite awareness. Thank you so much, Elizabeth Adams, for helping us today and really having it be top of mind for people, so that hopefully next year when the numbers come out, it'll be a whole heck of a lot less, and one day nothing at all. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Laura. We appreciate you and your customers. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to The Way Home this week, and to my wonderful guests. And may you all have a wonderful week that is safe, that's happy, healthy, and full of lots of miracles as well. I'm Laura Smith. See you next time from The Way Home.
Podcasts by Federated Media.